Hi, my name is Bob Brooks, host of Prudent Money. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about my book, Deceptive Money, and how you can escape the debt trap once and for all. Since January 2002, I've had the opportunity to host the Prudent Money radio program, and I've literally talked to thousands of people through the years and answered over 15,000 emails through the PrudentMoney.com website, and I've learned one thing. I've learned what you're dealing with today when it comes to this personal debt crisis in America. I think you'll agree, credit card companies have been very aggressive in handing out credit. If you could sign the dotted line, you could get credit. And what has ended up happening through fine print, through deceptive marketing programs, is that the consumer has become in debt over their head and landed into a trap. And because of that, now the consumer feels hopeless and they just don't know where to turn. Well, let me tell you something. There is hope. You just need to know how to play the game. You need to know your options, and that's what I talk about in the book. You know, federal regulators agree with you. Something needs to be done about credit card companies. So they passed new rules and regulations back in December of 2008. The bad news is that none of that goes into effect until July 2010. Doesn't make much sense. Congress steps in and says, you know what, we need to make those new rules and regulations law. As I speak right now, they're probably days away from President Obama signing a brand new set of laws and legislation that will stop credit card abuse. But here's the problem. None of that will go into effect until 2010 either, due to political pressure. So where does that leave you? Having to deal one-on-one with a very aggressive credit card industry. Because here's what they're doing. Three things. Number one, they are closing down credit card accounts. Number two, they're lowering credit limits. And worst of all, they're raising your interest rates. So what are you going to do about a situation like this? Well, you've got to get smart. You have to learn your options, you have to know how the game is played, and you have to know the steps to take to combat this situation. And that's what I cover in my book, Deceptive Money. I'm also going to show you the reality of the debt solution business. These are the companies that promise to take your debt problem and just make it go away. They're going to cut your rates in half, they're going to cut your payments in half, and they're going to make everything okay. Well, it just doesn't quite work that way. I've done a lot of investigation. I've looked over numerous proposals and found fraudulent information. I found misleading information. And what I have found and come to the conclusion that these programs, more often than not, make your situation that much worse. Here's the reality though. You can do your own debt management program. You can get your own self out of debt, and that's the right way to do it. Using the principles that I talk about in the book, you can set up your own program. Now, I've taught this to many people, and they've always been surprised that they could get out of debt a lot sooner than they actually thought that they could get out of debt. And I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. Another problem the consumer is facing today is debt collector harassment. Debt collectors are harassing people, abusing people, causing stress, whatever it takes to make you pay. Now, I think you should pay your debt, there's no question, but in reasonable terms, and they are being very unreasonable. Well, here's the good news. There are laws that most people don't even know about that protect you from this industry, protect you against debt collector harassment, and give you legal options. And I'm going to show you what that is. I'm going to take you step by step through a process I call debt collector management. I'm even going to tell you about the letters that you have to send, the sequence of sending those letters and how you write them. I'm going to cover everything that you need to know. Also going to talk to you about the all-important credit score. We're in a finance-based society. The credit score is extremely important today. It could be the difference between you getting a job or not. The employers will look at credit scores, and if you have a great credit score, that's going to help you. If you don't, that might hinder you, especially if you're competing against somebody. It could affect insurance rates. Well, the reason most people don't go through the process of improving their score because they can't. They don't know the options. They don't know the processes that you go through. And worst of all, they turn to these credit repair companies. Now, let me tell you something. Your credit score is not broken. You don't need to go to a credit repair company when you can do this yourself. I'm going to show you the step-by-step process of how to get it done, how to improve that credit score and get it to where you need it once and for all. I'm also going to talk about the tools that you need. You have to have the right tools. You need to have a debt inventory set up. I'm going to walk you through that process. I'm also going to talk to you about the boundary planning system. Now, budgets, in my opinion, don't work. They might work for 5% of the population. The other 95%, you and I, they don't work. They're inflexible. They work great in the textbook, but not in real life. I'm going to take you through this new program that I put together called the Boundary System, and it takes your priorities, it takes your objectives, it takes everything that's important and helps you plan out your expenses. And this is something that you and your spouse can do together, and it will help you find that money that you need at the end of the month to get out of debt even quicker. Now, no matter where you are today in your particular situation with debt, I've got a category that you're going to fall into because I have a category rating system. I borrowed it from the hurricane rating system. There's 5 categories of debt. Obviously, the 5th category, you don't want to be there. That's the crisis mode. If you find yourself in that situation, you're dealing with legal problems, I'm going to show you what you need to do. If you're in the 3rd category, you're walking a tightrope right now. You could end up in the 4th or the 5th category just by making one bad decision. I'm going to show you what to do, the decisions that you should be making, and the steps you need to take. The whole idea is to get you back in to the Category 1 situation with your debt. Now finally, I'm going to talk to you about the most important chapter in the book. It's the last chapter. It's the spiritual answer to debt. You know, we often look for happiness in so many different places other than the one real source of happiness. We look to money. If we don't have money, we go to credit, then we rack up debt, and then we end up in this trap with no freedom. That's not how it's supposed to be. And I talk about that debt's a heart issue, and I help you get back to that true source of happiness. And we talk about the spiritual solutions to debt. I would encourage you to read this one first, this chapter, so you can lay the proper foundation to getting out of debt. Well, here we are today. You could be in a situation where you really don't have any debt, but would like to get your finances organized, would like to get your credit score improved. This book will help you do it. If you are in that Category 5 situation, you definitely need to know what I'm writing about in this book and applying it to your life right now. You cannot afford to wait. Then if you're Category 3, you've got to make the right decisions. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Listen, if you need more information, go to my website, www.prudentmoney.com. You'll find information about the book, a lot of information to help you out. Also, if you want some debt tips, go to deceptivemoney.com where you'll find a lot of information there as well. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time today, and keep the faith.